She lied about my husband in the worst way just to look cool in front of her friends. Now her family's falling apart and her dad is desperate for us to forgive her. So the people involved here, me, 30F, my husband, 35M, my older sister, 35F, my sister's son Kevin, 14M, her husband Joe, 40M, and Joe's daughter Kelly, 15F. My sister has a blended family with her biological son, her husband, and her stepdaughter. I would say it's still a work in progress for them, but we all accepted and included Joe and Kelly in our lives. A few weeks ago, my husband and I organized a little get-together at our place to celebrate my birthday and for our family to spend time with our 6-month-old son. The people present were my sister and her family, plus her parents, so it was very intimate and chill. Everything went well and nothing out of the ordinary happened. But some days after the gathering, my nephew Kevin came to our house and asked to speak to me about something concerning. For context, Kevin and Kelly attend the same school and have some mutual friends. My nephew told me that Kelly had been telling her friends that during the gathering she saw her step-uncle's, my husband's, private part. She claimed she was in the bathroom, my husband entered without knocking, and he had his thing outside of his pants, which is how she ended up seeing it. This is absurd because my husband doesn't do this even when we are alone at home, and honestly, who does that when they know they have guests over? So I asked everyone who was present that day to meet at my parents' house and confronted Kelly. She started crying and confessed she lied to her friends. According to her, all of her girlfriends had already had some sort of intimacy and experiences and she had none by that point. So she invented this story to look cool in front of her friends. I lost it. I called her disgusting, a psychopath, and told her she risked my son's father's life just to boost her stupid social life among her friends. I told the rest of my family that, going forward, I would never bring my family near Kelly again. The consequences for this girl came fast. My nephew told everyone at school the truth. My sister and Joe went to the school and informed the principal about what happened so that, in case any teacher heard that BS, they'd know it was made up and wouldn't take action. My parents cut contact with her and will not host her in their house anymore, and my sister refuses to have Kelly live with them, so she was permanently moved to her mother's place. Before you start judging my sister for this, please keep in mind that she has a biological son who needs to be protected. If Kelly could so easily invent and tell those things about my husband, who can guarantee she wouldn't lie about her stepbrother too? Now Joe is obviously hurt and torn about everything that happened. He keeps telling me that Kelly is depressed and wants to apologize to my family, but I keep refusing. I explained to him that I don't need her apology and she shouldn't waste her time with this because I will never forget what happened or move past it. Joe keeps begging me to forgive her because she is just a stupid teenager, and maybe if my sister sees me forgiving her, she'll be willing to eventually accept Kelly back. I told Joe that a stupid teenager can have the power to ruin a man's life and reputation, so I'm not risking it. Also, I fully support my sister and I want to protect my nephew too. Before Kelly was moved to her mother's, Kevin stayed with me and my husband for a few days. So I don't regret my decision and I stand by everything I said, but I feel bad for my brother-in-law. Regardless of how messed up his daughter is, he is a great guy, respectful, and someone who really values the concept of family and honesty. So, I don't know, I guess I want to ask if I was the jerk towards him? This is a tough one, but I think you're the jerk. I think you can and should receive and accept the apology, but that by no means requires you to give up your boundaries. Actions, even ones that come with a subsequent apology, have consequences. You can forgive but not forget. You can choose not to have her in your life. That said, Kelly is a child, her frontal cortex isn't fully developed. She made an enormous mistake, and she will have to live with that. You didn't truly suffer any negative consequences, and all damage has been avoided. Your response kind of feels like you're kicking her while she's down. Ops response? I don't agree with this. No one should be forced to accept any apology, especially when they don't feel like it. I don't need her apology because it will not change anything for me, so why waste my time? It's not my responsibility to make her feel better about what she did. Kelly might be a child, but her lies are not childlike. I don't know any child who lies about her uncle's big thing and makes it look like he flashed her. So this magnitude of lies does not really reflect a frontal cortex that is not fully developed. If you have the capacity to invent a story that could easily be the opening of a corn movie, you most likely have the capacity to understand it's wrong. Comment or two. The thing that everyone keeps forgetting is that even though it sounds like an accident the way she told it, it could still end up with him being arrested and charged with indecent exposure to a minor. Even if found innocent, he would always have that stigma attached to him. People around here don't mess around when it comes to things like this. Ops response. Exactly. Thank you for this. I left a lot out of the post because I'm not sure what's allowed here or not, but let's just say that no sane adult who heard her story would ever think it was an accident. She provided some details and made some remarks that made it look like he flashed her. Comment or 3. Kevin showed his maturity here. He realized how devastating this lie could be for your husband. Op's response. He is an amazing kid indeed. And he is very close to my husband and me and knew from the start everything was a lie. Comment or 4. I hope you told your nephew that he did a very difficult and noble thing by letting you know what his stepsister was saying. I imagine that him telling you about this has caused a lot of strife in his home, but he's not responsible for the actions of his stepsister. She made her bed. Please let him know that he's a hero for doing the right thing. Op's response. Yes, we thank him over and over again. And no, there was no negative feedback for him at home. My sister would never allow it because she knows he is very close to my husband and me. In truth, my husband and my father have been my nephew's male role models since he was very young. My husband's and my house is his second home, he is family, and it was acknowledged by everyone that what he did was to protect a family member he loves. Downvoted commenter. Even though I understand your point, you did freak out on a 15-year-old girl. Did you try talking to her alone first? Or did you go full nuclear on her? Damn, you and your family have ruined her. Not only for now, but for at least the next 10 years. I wonder if any adult actually tried to talk to her or explain why such accusations are dangerous. Op's response. I have nothing to say to her alone, and seeing how she can invent stories that never happened, I would have never had any kind of discussion or meeting with her alone. Why would I risk being accused of who knows what without anyone being present as a witness? We ruined her? How about how she ruined us? Do you think we'll ever be able to host our children's friends at our place after this? What about my nephew, who is in therapy because of her? My husband has been his male role model ever since he was young. My nephew has nightmares that my husband is being taken by the police, and there's a high probability he will need some meds to be able to sleep. Also, my nephew, who has never been violent in his life, now has violent reactions whenever this girl is mentioned. So yeah, I went nuclear on her, and I stand by everything I did. Update 2 days later. Hi all. Thank you very much for your replies to my previous post. I really appreciate you taking the time to help me with your words, your experiences, and your feedback. Talking to you here has been really therapeutic for me, but also really sad to hear about some of your experiences. I have received many messages from you asking for an update. There isn't really much to say, nothing big has happened, but I have talked to my sister and she gave me some updates. But before getting to that, I want to clarify 3 main aspects that keep coming up. 1. We are all sure that Kelly lied. There is no debate, no what if, no one has any doubts. Some of you really have a sick mind, just like Kelly, so I can understand why you are taking her side. But please try to stop being so gross, even for a little bit. I get that some of you speak from personal experiences, but for the love of God, not all deranged teenagers were victims of SA, and most certainly my husband did not SA her. For those who need things spelled out for them because they don't understand otherwise, stop sending me DMs claiming my husband is a predator, telling me I'll regret it when the truth comes out, calling me names for defending my husband, and saying that I am protecting predators. I will keep ignoring your messages, I will not lower myself to your level, and I will not entertain your delusions. Right now, it seems the only predators are you, because otherwise, you wouldn't be such sick individuals wishing bad things to happen to people you don't even know. 2. You do not offend me by claiming this is fake. If you truly believe the story is fake and I made it up, why would you waste your time commenting? You're free to move on and just ignore me. 3. I'm not willing to forgive Kelly, I'm not willing to allow her to apologize, and I am not willing to ever have her near my family, meaning my husband and my son. My husband is not willing to do any of these things either. This is a shared decision, and we will never have anything to do with this girl. Stop blaming me for what the rest of my family is doing. I do not command my parents, my sister, Kelly's father, or my nephew. If they cut contact with her, it was their own decision. We just told them our boundaries, but they can do what they want. Now, as I said, I talked to my sister, and some things are going to happen this week. First of all, Kevin is coming to our place tomorrow and will spend the entire week with us so that my sister and her husband can have time to sort things out. They plan to visit Kelly at her mother's place, sit her down, and tell her what is going to happen. My sister asked Kevin if he wants her to divorce or if he feels unsafe living with her husband. My nephew told her he does not want to ruin her marriage, he does not hate Joe even if he said it a couple of times, and he does not feel unsafe with him, but he does not ever want to be near Kelly. My sister and Joe started working with a therapist to see if they can salvage their marriage, and it has really helped them. So for those wishing them to divorce, they will not. The therapist explained to Joe that he can still have a relationship with his daughter while keeping his other family too. The only thing needed is for him to be willing to work for it. She also said that divorcing and giving up his own life and happiness is not a solution because where does it end? He divorces my sister, gets a new wife in a few years, and if Kelly does something again to that new family, is he going to once again give up everything he has and start over? He needs to see himself and Kelly as two different individuals with their own paths in life. They don't need to be tied together to have a parent-child relationship, and he also needs to show his kids that marriages are not jokes. You don't give up the first time something awful happens. So, they decided to work together on their marriage. They will let Kelly know how things will be from now on, meaning Joe will continue seeing and supporting her, but she will live full-time with her mother, who is on board with this and was part of these discussions. Some Redditors suggested that in the future Kevin can stay at my place if they want to have Kelly over, and I suggested this to my sister. I told her that our house will always be open for Kevin, so we can do that if Kevin also wants it. I don't think he will refuse, since he enjoys spending time with us and his baby cousin, but we need to see how he'll feel about the girl being in his house. Right now Kevin is also in therapy because he has been having nightmares and violent outbursts when he hears about Kelly, so this will not be suggested to him anytime soon. The last time he heard about her, he had a panic attack, started crying and shouted that he hates her and wishes we never met her. I'm confident that with therapy he will go back to his happy self, but baby steps, he does not need to be rushed right now. We are all focused on his well-being and mental health, and the summer break will be perfect for him. The girl will also be moved to a different school during the summer. This is for both her and Kevin, so they will not need to see each other at school and she will avoid getting bullied. Her friends, whom she told the stories to, went home and told the drama to their parents, so now Kelly is forbidden from ever going to these kids' houses since their parents don't want to risk it. I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but honestly, I'm not. No sane adult will have someone like her in their home and risk being accused of things. I'm also somewhat happy the adults who were close to her in one way or another are aware of what is happening, so they are able to protect themselves and not have to face what we did. So that's pretty much it for now. I think I'll keep updating if anything interesting happens. I'm excited to have my nephew here for the week. I'll finally have my partner to game with since my boomer of a husband isn't that much into games, so obviously not as fun as Kevin. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I think this is the first time I've seen a normal, adult reaction to addressing a marital issue, and this is very rare on Reddit. Most of the incels around here scream divorce right from the start. I also like the therapist's ideas, and they are right. You can't mess up your life and your partner's every time your child has issues. You can't give your child the power to ruin your life and the knowledge that you will leave everything you have every time they do something stupid. What I don't understand is why you would have to have your nephew in your home so that the girl can visit. I understand you don't mind it, but why should she go to Kevin's house and make him leave? Can't her father see her somewhere else? Op's response. In the foreseeable future, Joe will see his daughter somewhere else and she will not be allowed at their house. Honestly, I suggested that option just thinking about Kevin's safety and comfort. My husband and I don't mind having him with us, and I want him to be safe. As I said, this is not something that will happen anytime soon or be suggested to my nephew anytime soon, but if it ever becomes an option, I just wanted us to have this solution available. Is Op's sister okay with Joe maintaining his relationship with Kelly? My sister is okay with Joe having a relationship with his daughter, but that relationship has to happen away from our family. For example, she has no problem with Joe seeing her, talking to her on the phone, attending her events, etc., but her conditions are, she does not come to her house, she is not to come near Kevin, and she will not attend our family events. So as long as we are all kept away, I don't see why Joe would have to go no contact with her. Op on her nephew Kevin's background and if Kelly has tried to harm him in any way and if Kevin is receiving therapy. Thank you. No, fortunately nothing else happened to him with Kelly, but this situation shocked him. His bio father and paternal grandparents were never in his life, so he was always the shared baby in our family, at first between my sister, my parents, and me. Later on, I met my husband when Kevin was really young, so he grew up with my husband. My husband and my father have been the only male role models he ever had before meeting Joe. When this situation happened, his first reaction was that something wasn't right, but later on it hit him because he realized what could have happened. So now his nightmares are mostly about my husband being taken away by the police, his mom or I being taken away, or him being taken away from his family, or his baby cousin being taken away from us. He was scared to show affection to us, like hugging my husband or me, because he was unsure if that could cause harm. We are working with him. We tried to keep as much as possible away from him, but he's not stupid and he just got very scared. With therapy and time for him to see that we are all fine, I'm sure we'll go back to normal eventually. Op responds to a downvoted commenter regarding the peer pressure taking place from Kelly. Logically speaking, I fully understand your point of view. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm left with these thoughts. I get peer pressure, I get wanting to brag to her friends, I get your point about wanting to be the object of someone's sexual affection. But she could have invented an imaginary person. She could have mentioned an imaginary family friend, an imaginary cousin, anyone. It's not like her friends even know my husband, he's nuts, and my candy for hormonal teens. So the concerning aspect is that she could have literally invented anyone for her imaginary story, yet she chose a very real adult who happens to be double her age. Now, she did it once. Who can guarantee it won't happen again? She invented a story about my husband with events that never happened. What if something actually happens by accident? What if, for example, my nephew enters a room while she's changing without knowing she's there? What if, in her next group of friends, she once again feels left out for not being able to relate to their experiences? What if she next invents stories about someone else in the family? Personally, if you were my husband, would you ever feel safe being in her presence? I don't see any healthy way for us to ever be in the same space again. Let's leave out the fact that we don't want to and focus on practical details. We don't trust her. Having her near us again would mean always having to move in pairs so that there is always a witness present just in case, or constantly recording everything. Having her in the same space with us would mean her father having to be with her nonstop. She wants to use the toilet? Fine, take her hand, take her there, wait for her, and then take her back, please. This is uncomfortable, unnatural, and forced. I'm sorry, but there are things you can never come back from, and this is one of them in my book. The risks are too high, and it's not worth it. What does Kelly's mother say about this incident? From what I know from my sister, Kelly's mom sent her apologies to us for everything that happened and is shocked as well. I assume it's not easy for any parent to find out about such lies told by their own kid. She is working with Joe on this and agreed to keep Kelly full-time with her and far away from us. Joe stopped trying to insist on us forgiving her, and no, she did not try to reach out. Is Kelly receiving therapy? I think she was put in therapy by her parents. I can't imagine her father starting therapy with my sister but not putting Kelly into it.